Welcome to the podcast. I promised that I would do a Friday podcast, and here I am. I apologize ahead of time that little bright light back there. I'm sorry about that. I did come up with something that I wanted to talk about because it's really been on my mind and I've been thinking about it. And I thought, you know what? This is something that we could all use a little conversation about. And the thing that came to me, and it's funny because I look on Pinterest a lot, and I know I'm not the only one. There's so many people that look on Pinterest that, oh my gosh, Pinterest has got me in so much trouble. Between crafts and fashion, hair, yeah, Pinterest has really got me in trouble. Anyways, something that I had thought about, and I've been asking myself this a lot lately, is, am I humble? Like, many people will say that they are, like, oh, I'm humble, I can admit when I'm wrong, I can take that, everything would be great. So I asked myself that, am I humble? So, like, what goes along with that when you think that? Are you willing to listen before you speak? Like, am I willing to listen before speaking? I know it's a lot easier when people start listening, maybe have an assumption or something, and you want to give somebody your feedback before hearing them out. I would say I'm guilty of that because yeah. But I will also say this, the older I'm getting, the more listening and hearing people out is actually important to me. So, and I'm going to guess that it is important to some of you as well. So yeah, one of the things about that, am I humble? I am willing to listen before speaking. That's part of being humble. I accept correction without becoming defensive. I can tell you this. This is me personally. I can take direction, instruction. I guess that's the word I'm trying to use. I can take instruction very, very well. But growing up with a militant dad, that was just something that happened. So, I don't have a problem taking orders or, discipline or whatever. That doesn't bother me. I can do that. I don't know if that specifically makes me humble, but yeah, that's part of being humble, is being able to accept correction without becoming defensive. I treat others as more important than myself. Maybe at one time I didn't so much do that, but probably over the past few years or so, I put other people, maybe even more than that, because I've put myself a lot in the background and I've cared more about other people's feelings. So maybe that's, something that you do as well. You start thinking about other people's feelings and other people, what they want, and you kind of put yourself in the background, and you don't come first, others come first. And so yeah, treating others more important than yourself. Not to say to put yourself completely on the back burner, because nobody wants to be last, and you need to have somewhat of a priority of yourself, but that's a humbling thing, is not always thinking more of yourself, and maybe an arrogance, I don't know. That's kind of how I'm gathering that. I serve people quietly without needing recognition. I am a giver. I love to give. I'd rather give than receive, because I'd rather see the smile on your face than worry about having one on mine. But I don't know if that necessarily makes me humble, or that just makes me a giver, or anybody in general, because I know that there's more than me out there that are, givers as well. So, but that's part of being humble, is to serve people quietly without needing recognition. I admit when I am wrong, and I'll repent for it, apologize for it quickly. Again, this is one of those things, maybe at one time in my life, I wasn't so much that way, because nobody likes to be wrong. I don't care who you are. But like I said, the older you get, the less important it is to be right. I'm not above that. Pride is all out the window. Ego is out the window. I'm myself pretty quick to just say, I messed up. I'm sorry. This shouldn't be this way. I'm sorry. I don't have a problem with that myself. But it is something very hard for a lot of people to do, is to admit when they're wrong and apologize for it. And if you're on the receiving end of that, it's good for you to understand that this person is admitting that they're wrong, and forgive as quickly as they apologize. Because it takes a lot of character for somebody to admit and apologize when they're wrong. It speaks mountains for their character. If you don't forgive them, it speaks mountains for yours. And however you receive that, if you receive it and you treat them back in a negative way, that speaks mountains of your character. And I'm not talking about in a positive way. I depend on God daily instead of trusting only myself. Yeah, I'll just say yes. I can just check the box. I mean, I can't, there's no elaboration there. It is what it is. God's the reason I wake up every morning. God's the reason that I'm able to sleep at night. He's the reason why my children are safe. He's the reason why my husband is as wonderful as he is. He's the reason my friends and my family are safe. So yeah, I do. I depend on God daily. I don't, I can't speak for other people, but that is something, that might be a requirement of humble. Being humble is actually, trusting in God and having faith that things are going to be, okay. He's got more control than you do, and that's fine. I speak gently and avoid prideful words. I am not one to build myself up, toot my own horn, pat myself on the back. I know a lot of people out there are just like me, and they don't pat themselves on the back either. There's a humbleness to not thinking that you are better than somebody else, and I definitely don't feel like that I am better than anyone else. I'm far from perfect, and still have much more to accomplish in that area. And I'm sure that, there's some of you out there that feel the same way. I remember that everything I have comes from God. I actually do thank God for everything that I have, and I believe the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And if you do not steward well what you have been given, it can be taken from you, whether you like it or not. I'm sorry about this. My computer screen keeps going off and on. I don't mean for that to be a distraction, but, it's also kind of good for lighting, I guess, to be completely honest. But yes, I remember that I'm not the one that provided all this. God opens the doors and provides everything that I have, and I am grateful for that. I remain thankful in every season of my life. I try to find a silver lining no matter how hard things are. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. Like, I've been dealing with illness, and I still try to find whatever the silver lining is. It's important. It's very important for us to find the silver linings in things, and not just, dwell on the bad and the negative, and because it's so easy to get stuck in the rut where all you do is that. That's, a terrible thing to get caught in. So I really try to avoid getting caught in the negative, but it's so easy to do. It's so easy to point out somebody else, they did this or they did that. And when in reality, it's probably neither here nor there. So, I try to find some kind of, I'm grateful at least. I got the breath in my lungs, as we all should be. Maybe we only have $5 left in the bank, but our bills are paid. There's food in the cabinets and clothes on our backs with gas in the car. At least it's all taken care of, even if there's only $5 in reserve. Just look at the glass is half full. I do not compare myself with others. Now, that's something I don't do. Because I am me and you are you. And I'm not going to say, well, I want what they have. I have no desire to have what other people have. I have a desire to have whatever I worked for and whatever somebody wanted me to have. But I have no desire to have other people's stuff. I want what I have earned. So, I can't even say what I deserve. A lot of things we think we deserve, not necessarily do we deserve it. Some of that can be ego, arrogance, and whatever, pride. But what I earned. I stay teachable and open to wisdom. Yes. I am all about grabbing new wisdom. Again, the older I'm getting, being around my parents, they're aged. I call them seasoned. I am very grateful for the questions that I can ask them and picking their brain and listening to their knowledge. I'm not looking at them like, oh, you're just stupid old people. Heck no. They are full of knowledge. There's so much wisdom there. So much life experience. And there's just something about that old school thing. Obviously worked out better than the way a lot of things work now. Because they didn't, during their generation, their time, like even raising us Gen X, the hate wasn't there that's there now. So obviously their old school method wasn't that bad. I forgive others just as Christ forgave me. Yes. I am, you might want to carry a chip on your shoulder at some point. Some people, really just can't get that off their shoulder. They really want to just dwell on past things or hurts or whatever. Anger and malice and negativity and hard feelings, those things take a lot of a person's energy to maintain emotionally. And I myself, I don't want to hold on to that. I would rather just say, you know what? I forgive you. You're human. People are people. And move on and be happy and move forward and live, the way God would want me to live. But I also have to think this. Am I treating somebody the way Christ would treat me? Am I interacting? Am I reacting? Am I speaking the way that, what would Jesus do? But I guess we don't really know what Jesus would really do because we weren't there. We only know what we read in the Bible. But I know for a fact in my, from what we read in the Bible, that he was very forgiving and very loving, and but he was also very just, and he was not afraid to say that's wrong, or very good, that's right. So we kind of forget, I guess, sometime we forget that the Bible does point out that, when people did wrong, Jesus pointed, like he said it to him. He told him, there wasn't just, he didn't just let it go. But the way that he handled people was just pretty cut and dry, But he was also very forgiving and very kind, very loving. So you kind of have to go, what is just? But something I notice, and this has nothing to do with being humble, but something I notice, if you read the Bible, if you've read your Bible, you don't see Jesus like hanging out with people and like going out in the social group, going to the church picnic, and what, you don't see all that. There's so much time that he spends by himself. If you have never watched the series The Chosen, I would highly suggest it. I think that is probably the most realistic rendition of Jesus's character in accordance with the Bible that you will ever get. That's my thoughts. So, yeah. Because it's just, I don't know. It just seems like that would be more of who he would be. But anyways, back to the humble thing. That's a good question to ask yourself. Am I humble? Am I humble, or am I puffed up full of myself and always think I'm right? Everybody else is wrong. I'm right. Somebody didn't, say this the way I wanted them to say it, or do this the way I wanted them to do it. So, there's no grace for that person because they did, Are you that person that says it's my way or the highway? Are you bendable? Do you pivot with life? Or, are you headstrong? And it's, it is what it is to you. Or are you humble? Do people matter to you? Is that important? Is people's heart important to you? Another person's, their heart, the core of who they are as a human, are they important to you? Or are you more important than anybody else to yourself? And again, like I said before, we need to make ourselves priority. Right now, I'm making my mental and physical health a priority, and putting it first before anything else, because I need to. It's a survival issue, so, I need to. But in a lot of cases where that's, not a necessity, are we still doing it? And other people are just getting dragged. And is that okay? Because nothing about that is humble. Yeah. I like this little EOS. I'm an EOS lover. I used to be so big into, sorry, squirrel here. Side note from Humble. I used to be so big into Carmex, and then the kids introduced me to EOS, and I'm sold. So, but yeah, that's kind of my topic subject for this podcast. Are you humble? And how you treating people around you? How you treating your family? How you treating your siblings? How you treating your kids? How you treating your parents? How you treating people? Regardless of how they're treating you, how are you treating them. Just something to ponder on. Just something to ponder on. But anyways, so yeah, I will be back next week with a different topic, obviously. I hope everybody has enjoyed this week. It has been a busy one. It's a rainy, hot one in Florida. And I mean hot. I've actually been in the pool floating because it is very good for the nervous system and settling the nervous system. So today was fun. I went and had a tattoo of mine. You can't really see it. I can't really show it to you, but anyways, I had a tattoo, and it's, I don't know if I can show, there it is, right there. It's my kids' first, A, S, and M, Alyssa, Sunday, and Madeline, and I had it kind of like shaded and stuff, so it really sticks out, so I see it. I actually had been wanting to do that for a while, and she did that, and it looks beautiful, and I literally cried, because, you know, it doesn't matter how my kids interact with me, how they feel or whatever, whether they like me, don't like me, talk to me, don't talk to me, love me, hate me, whatever. I love them. I love my kids, and that is not going to change. And if you ever have kids of your own, and they go off on their own little whatnot, listen, your kids can run, but they can't hide. That is what it is. So anyways, yeah, I hope you guys have a spectacular weekend, and I will see you next Friday for an all new podcast. And between now and then, just remember, even if it's not okay or you don't feel like it's okay, it's okay. So, until next time, bye.